Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, or if this is your first time, welcome to the channel. I know it's kind of dark and I'm kind of sitting in my darkness right now, but I'll figure out the lighting situation. I gotta get this thing figured out. But anyway, I thought I'd make this video. This is kind of on the heels of a video that, for you, if you're watching this is probably coming out on a Friday, prior to a live stream I'm going to be doing tonight, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, where I'm going to be doing a live stream chatting probably with some hobby folks. We're going to be talking about a couple of different things that happened, including SGC raising their prices, PSA earlier this week announcing that they were going to shut down most of the service tiers, except for the very top service tiers. But the specific subject that I want to talk about in this video, because I did make a video on the PSA, I made a video on the SGC earlier today that I'm recording, Thursday. April the 1st apparently was a big day for announcements and things. Kind of coincidental because April Fool's Day seems like an odd day to be throwing news out there, because then people are kind of dubious, asking like, are you serious? Or, and it's very understandable. But SGC did raise their prices on April Fool's Day. And then also COMC announced through social media that they bought a new facility that is going to be, according to them, the largest facility for sports card related stuff. But I mainly wanted to talk about that. Before I do that, one of the things that I usually do on the channel on Fridays, when it's a live stream it gets a little murky, but I wanted to quickly have that included in here, is I'll usually include my pickups. Now the thing is, I only had 2 pickups this week, so it was a bit of a short week as far as that's concerned. So I'm going to toss that into the video right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you for a moment. I'll go to that clip a couple of minutes, and then I'll include a timestamp if you want to skip ahead. Otherwise, after about 2 or 3 minutes, then we'll come back here and we'll talk about COMC. So I'll see you back on the other side of that. All right, folks, for this section of the video, we're going to keep it short and sweet, but I'll show you one Medano pickup for this week, and then I'll do the reverse of what I usually do. Usually I do the Medano pickup last, but I'll do the big one here at the end. This one, though, is a nice card as well. This is a 2011-2012 Ultimate Collection Hockey premium swatches. So it's actually an authentic patch, numbered out of 25 for Medano. It is number 25 of 25 with the nice gold foil. I do appreciate it when they use the rainbow foil. Always a nice pickup. And as far as the Ultimate, is a great set. And you got a nice 3-color swatch there, nice big patch piece, a real solid pickup. So really quickly, I'll just mention that this is the only pickup of Medano for this week, but as a result, that takes me to 1,987 different, including another memorabilia card, obviously, the one I've got on here. I'm not going to finish off with this, but that's the update for this week. I do expect some more stuff to come in the next little bit, but it will be a lot slower going forward. Nothing too shocking there, but I just thought I would share it with you that way. Okay, so the other pickup, the big one for this week, let me do this quickly here so that I can show you, and then we'll get back to a commentary on this video. It's kind of a special edition, so let me show this to you. So, card in question is not going to be this one, but I want to show you these first, and then we'll finish off with the last one here. So this is a 2018 Topps Update, Soto, rookie card, PSA 9. I actually sent this one in myself and ended up with the 9, and I do have a raw copy as well, but I never got around to getting the 10. Those have gotten a little bit expensive now, but it is still attainable, but it's certainly gotten a lot more expensive. And this is one that I picked up on eBay some time ago. This is the rainbow foil, which I've shown off in the past. Fun cards. They're not numbered, but they're limited to a certain degree. In terms of ratio, they're very close to the next card I'm going to show you. And based on that, you probably have a pretty good understanding where I'm going to go with this, but let me quickly put this one here. So there we go. I'm going to back up just a hint. There we go. And just here, dead center, front and center, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you Topps Gold, 2018 Topps Update. Now this is a PSA 7. Now I would have loved to have gone for a 9 as well to match up with the other two, but these have started to kind of get pricier and pricier. So I picked up one that fit into the collection. So those are numbered out of 2018. And if you know anything about the prices on these, they've started certainly to creep up. But it is a great addition to that collection there. And I do enjoy it and appreciate it. I will have, on a future video, a little bit of a discussion, kind of about what my plan is as pertains to this. But in the meantime, it is kind of nice to have the 3 of them together like that. It's kind of a cool group. In terms of production run, I would say the rainbows are actually fairly close, because if you look at the odds on the rainbows, it's actually very close to this. There should be a few more of these, but not that much more. Maybe like 2,100 or thereabouts. It's just kind of guesstimates based on math. But these are limited to 2018, and then obviously we got the base card as well. But just the same, a fantastic addition to the collection and a very fun one. I will talk more about these cards probably in another video where I'll discuss kind of my strategy with the Soto collection, what my plans are, and how you can apply some of these concepts maybe to your own kind of collecting or investing, if that's your bag, kind of thought process. Because the thought process, I think, is more valuable than the actual cards themselves. It's just a case study. But for now, I'm enjoying having the 3 of these in the collection, and then we'll see where that takes us going forward. Anyway, so that's it for the pickup portion of this. Let's get back to the discussion, continued in progress. Okay, if that worked properly, so you're back. So let's talk about the COMC thing for a minute. One of the reoccurring kind of themes related to COMC that I've had on the live stream at a bunch of different times, and this part of the discussion is going to be a little primer, kind of what I'm going to be touching on the live stream itself. But when it comes to this idea, this concept, is COMC has struggled, much like a lot of other sports card companies, with the whole COVID thing as far as trying to make things work inside of a warehouse environment. And I like to think that more so than a lot of other collectors, I've tried to be fairly understanding of that because I was working at a retailer who also had to adapt to COVID. And you have to understand that that creates a lot of different questions. But the realities of business are that you do have to adapt. You do have to find a way to make things work. And the problem with COMC is that they've kind of, I won't say they've had to use it, they've used it as an excuse the whole time, but at the end of the day, the subtext has always been like, oh, we're struggling with COVID. But the problem has always been, the collectors have kind of shot back, is so's everybody else. You know, you're not the only ones. You don't have a exclusive right to COVID as an excuse. But after a year, it gets to be a little tiresome as an excuse, especially as your service progressively, degenerated and got progressively worse. After a while, it's like, well, have you done anything to improve the situation, because it seems to be getting worse? And even the things this week kind of shine a bit of a light on it indirectly, and I'll explain why. Because PSA, under the new ownership, so Nat Turner and his group buying PSA and taking it private, created a situation where they were able to evaluate the situation and say, okay, this backlog is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's accelerated even more and more and more. And we've reached this point where even with a price increase, we reached a stage where we can no longer keep up with demand. So our best tactic is to shut down most of the levels except for the absolute tip top. So if you've got like a Mano rookie or a Mano 52 tops or a Honus Wagner or a Jordan rookie or a Gretzky rookie or anything that's worth thousands of dollars that's still worth it to you to send even at the $300 and $600 and above level, you can still do that. But anything below that, anything that would take up the volume of the majority of the submissions, is probably not worth your money to send in. That's the message that PSA sent you, which I generally agreed with. My statement on the video that I made on the channel was, I agree. It was probably a good move in order to do that. But, as I mentioned in that video as well, that has a ripple down effect. And the ripple down effect was now felt by SGC. And I'll get back to COMC in a second, but I'm giving you a little context here. The thing about it is that as a result of that, SGC found itself into a situation where now all of a sudden it was having its own problems trying to keep up with the sudden surge of demand that was created by this vacuum that PSA left. Well, as soon as PSA created that vacuum, SGC was trying to fulfill it. But the problem they ran into is that they themselves were in no position to be able to do that. And they reached that point of admission, and their solution was to raise prices. And in raising prices, what they did was they created a situation where they could basically put a stop sign and say, no, please stop sending us stuff. That was their indicator to the market saying, hey, chill out. Now, obviously, the reaction of the collectors, even today, as it was developing today, Thursday evening, has been very bad, in terms of a very negative reaction. Understandably so, because people don't like suddenly having the price raised on them, because in SGC's case, their price tripled. And that's after they had already had a price increase earlier in the year. So, and that's after they had also bragged in March about basically clearing their backlog and having no more backlog. So all of this came together to create kind of a bad look for SGC on the heels of PSA basically putting them in that position. But at the end of the day, PSA strategically only needs to care about PSA, and they made a good move for PSA. And I explained and I suggested that for the other companies, that was going to become their problem. And I don't think they're well suited to handle it, and I don't think they're going to be capable of handling it. And I think some of them will have to adopt similar tactics or measures, either put a limitation on submissions, like an HGA is already doing right from the get-go as they've tried to slowly ramp up. But that's fraught with its own problems because it creates frustration. Especially as collectors try, unsuccessfully, to get in the queue. Like even today, they had a posting where they had the site crash. And the site crash where 33,000 people were trying to get into the queue for the opportunity to submit cards. What does that tell you as far as the way the demand is for graded cards, even with price increases, even with all these things happening? Everybody is being flooded in the market. Now, that's a lengthy discussion for another time. It's definitely something we can address as far as the live stream or maybe another video separately later on if there's interest. But for the moment, all of this is the underlying current of the hobby that leads us to COMC's move. And the thing is, what COMC did here in getting a new piece of a new building, it makes all the sense in the world. The problem is that PSA also announced that they got a new building some time ago, and they increased their capacity. I think they have over 100,000 square feet of space, and I think SGC also got a new building, or at least they were looking into it forever ago, and that probably helped them in terms of their capacity for space. And for COMC, it makes a lot of sense for them to do something similar. The problem is that as far as an announcement is concerned, to be blunt, who cares? And the reason I say that is that great, you got a new building. Maybe, and the expectation is that that will help with the backlog and everything, but you did nothing else as far as restricting. You still accepted submissions, you slowed down certain things, but at the end of the day, you're still accepting cards in, and you were still doing the consignment service through eBay. And then the manifestation of that was that, for a while, the frustration was that you had to buy something on eBay to get your stuff in a reasonable period of time because COMC was failing to do that with their own product. If you ordered something on the COMC site and then have it shipped, unless you paid for the absolute top tier shipping service, you had to wait forever. Now, as being somebody international in Canada, I had to wait forever even if I paid the top dollar. I had to wait like weeks and weeks regardless, and I had the privilege of paying an incredible amount of money. In the example of on this channel, I had a 340 or 350 card COMC mail day, and I paid nearly $300 to ship it US, and then when it came, obviously I had to pay customs, and the customs added and tacked on another $300. So basically, I paid $600 for the privilege of getting my stuff in about 3 or 4 weeks. So not the best experience, even if you're paying good money for the shipping. Now the problem is that while at least if you were buying something on eBay, you were getting it in a reasonable time period. That has stopped being the case the last little while. And I can tell you, and I'll put a little screen grab on the screen somewhere here. In the last month, COMC's consignment eBay account has had over 1,200 negatives. And a lot of them follow the exact same verbiage. Don't have my card, had to wait over a month to get my card, took a long time to get my card, blah, blah. So even for eBay, even for those, their logistics have failed to ship the thing out, to the point that COMC advertised at the top of their site for a little while that they had hired over 50 new people in shipping, but it was going to take a while to train them and all that. So COMC has been doing these things where they'll tell people, oh, we're doing stuff. We believe you, but it hasn't translated into fixing anything, and it's been over a year. Now, there's going to be an opportunity to get a little bit of COMC's side of the story, where they're going to be doing an interview on Saturday on Sports Cards Live, the YouTube channel, where the CEO is going to be explaining some of the mitigating circumstances and probably talking about their side of the story and also some things they're going to do. The reality is, though, that for a lot of collectors, and I'm not exclusive in this, it's a lot of too little too late. In all honesty, I don't care what your mitigating circumstances were, as harsh as that may sound, and the reason being that everybody else has mitigating circumstances. A lot of other parts of the sports card hobby and industry also have. Dealers have had to deal with their own thing, especially dealers with gigantic inventory. And we use something like a Burbank Sports Cards, which has tens of millions of cards in their inventory, and they have a warehouse too, and they have to try to get product out because the expectation is that if you order something on their eBay store, that you get your stuff within a reasonable time period. The fact is they were able to get stuff to me quicker than what COMC is able to do. Now, admittedly, the way that COMC has their stuff organized and the way they have to separate it out into these different sellers and all that adds a ton of complications. But the consumer is going to come back and say, you, COMC, designed that system. It is on you to figure out how to do that. And if you cannot provide that service, then you need to make certain adaptations. The same way the PSA had to shut down because they realized there was no way they could any longer fulfill it. They had to make that adjustment. The same way that SGC made the call of doing the unpopular thing of raising their price when they knew it would draw the ire of people because they could no longer handle it. They had to basically make the hard choice and bite the bullet and do that. COMC has taken flack, but they haven't really bitten the bullet publicly. They haven't shut down a segment of it on purpose, not directly COVID related. They haven't specifically said, okay, look, we're not taking anything more in, or we're not doing consignments for a while. We're going to shut that off. They haven't done anything of the sort. So they're not going to get credit for doing things, even if internally I'm sure they've come up with a lot of different systems and things. And from that perspective, I believe that they're trying to do stuff. But at the same time, it's like, from the consumer perspective, we're not going to give you credit for that. Because at the end of the day, you didn't communicate it well. And even at this point now, it's been over a year. So now anything you communicate is like, well, that at this point, that's, many dollars short and many, many, many months too late. So you're not going to get a lot of sympathy from a lot of people. I'm sure you get sympathy from some, but at the end of the day, those are people who don't care. Keep their stuff for 5 years. In fact, put their stuff to the back of the line and let the rest of us have our stuff. Those of us that actually want our stuff in a reasonable period of time. Keep their stuff in the back for 5 or 10 years, even after COVID's over. Just leave it there. They'll be happy. Just tell them you're trying your best. Bottom line, though, is that COMC really isn't going to get a pass from a lot of people. And I don't feel it's appropriate to try to position people that they should. Because at the end of the day, it's a business. You do need to make decisions in that business. You do need to accept responsibility for the things that you have done in that business. And getting a building at this stage in the game when a lot of other players in the industry, like I said, PSA, and I think SGC as well, I could be mistaken on that part, but PSA for sure has expanded their capacity. At this point, that's a standard operating procedure thing. In the current state, where the way the hobby is, if you're operating a warehouse or anything like that, where you need the space or you're trying to create that additional staffing and you're trying to do all that, you're a business and you're basically celebrating you buying a piece of property or a building when you needed to in order to continue your business the way it was going. You're not going to be celebrated for that. You don't get any credit for that. And that doesn't really forgive or take away anything. Our expectation is that you do things like get a new building, if that's what's required in order to help you. Our expectation is that you make adjustments to your strategy, to your consignment service, to whatever, in order to accommodate that. You didn't do that. You got a building after a year. When the service has gotten progressively worse. And the upshot of it is, even with the new building, with the expectation that that will improve the situation, the question then becomes as the consumer, when? Are we snapping our fingers and now everything's fixed? I doubt that. Will it take a week, 2 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 months, a year? Assuming COVID doesn't go away? What is the potential timeline? What's the best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? Those are probably the more pertinent questions. The building isn't really going to do much for anybody. The bottom line, and this is strictly my opinion piece, the bottom line though is that this week has kind of underscored, COMC kind of walked into the tail end of this thing, kind of underscored when you had PSA make a bold move in order to try to resolve its own problems. Again, not popular in all circles, but they've had to bite the bullet and accept the consequences of that. SGC made an extremely unpopular move, and they're going to have to take the consequences of that. COMC did the safest of the three things, and now they're going to go say their side of the story. And I have no doubt there is going to be a sob story element to it, and I have no doubt that they have a lot of mitigating circumstances. I have no doubt there's going to be a lot of challenges and great obstacles that they had to overcome, and all these different things that I'm sure will be lovely chapters in Tim Ghosh's, I think it's Tim Ghosh, I might be mispronouncing the name. It'll be great stories for his autobiography that I won't read because I don't care. At the risk of being harsh, as a consumer of said product, COMC is very much a product, not unlike eBay, that we're kind of a captive audience to. Us who are collectors who want to buy this product, the cards being, the platform there is kind of holding us hostage. Because to be honest with you, if they didn't have cards that I needed or cards that I was interested in adding to my collection, I wouldn't use COMC anymore. Because frankly, it's a very irritating platform for what it gives, for what terrible service they have. I would happily, with joy, never use them again. But it's kind of a necessity because they still have some stuff that I can use. It's still a good platform for lower end cards to fill in sets or to work on these various things. So it's really not a platform I want to use as a hobbyist. It's a necessary evil. And when you enter into necessary evil territory, that's never a good place to be. It's very much the same, to be honest with you, as what eBay is. Do I like eBay? I really don't. Do I still use eBay? Absolutely. Why? Because that's the platform where the stuff is. And as long as it has the stuff that I as a collector am looking for, it remains a necessary evil. But I think what COMC needs to understand is that being a necessary evil doesn't mean you'll be a necessary evil forever. If at some point a better platform comes along, we'll drop you like a bad habit, happily, because you haven't been doing a good job. And all the excuses in the world aren't going to change that. We'll see what they have to say, but I really don't think too much is going to change for me, because to be perfectly blunt, to summarize, I think, what everything that I've said in this video, and again, not everybody's going to agree with me, and if you've got a different opinion, please, by all means, throw it in the comments. I don't care what their mitigating circumstances were. I'll have more to say on the live stream about it, but just if I was going to summarize it in the shortest possible way, I don't care what your mitigating circumstances were. They are the same mitigating circumstances that a lot of other businesses in a similar line with warehouses, and people have to be in the warehouse and be within close contact of each other, and the perils that creates in this environment, had to deal with. But you were the only one who decided to keep mum about a lot of the things you did until now, and even the thing you did was the safest thing you could have done, the bare minimum you could have said outwardly that you were doing, and the thing that everybody and their brother expected. Because even on the live stream last Sunday, I said one of two things that could be a potential announcement. And there might be more. Let's be clear, there might be more. But one of the two things I said was, A, you're hiring more people, which we already know you're hiring more people. And the second one is buying another building, which is exactly what was announced Thursday night and Thursday during the day, and which you'll be seeing probably on Friday. So I'm not impressed. But congratulations on buying a new building. So good on you for that. I think that's it for now. We'll definitely have more to say on the live stream, because I'll bring some more people on, hopefully, and we'll have a chance to have more of an open discussion, more of a debate, get some different perspectives, including folks in the chat and things like that. So if you are around and would like to join that conversation, we're going to be having the live stream, like I said, Friday evening, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. And then I'll also have a live stream on Sunday where we can kind of rehash some elements of it or talk about something else. So we'll be talking about, for sure, we'll be talking about the PSA situation as far as closing off a lot of the submissions, SGC raising its prices, some of the implications of that, the possibility of some of the other graders maybe following suit, some of the challenges they're facing, and then of course we'll talk a little bit about this COMC issue. I wanted to make sure I had a video about this as well, since it was another topic of discussion that I think we'll definitely bring up on the live stream. The other thing is, since the live stream's ended, anybody who pops in, if there's another topic that is burning a hole in your mind, or, burning a hole in your soul, and you really want to talk about it, usually we've got enough time that we can definitely address some of those things and at least do our best to give whatever takes or we may or may not have. Anyway, so that's it for now. That'll be enough for me. Thank you if you hung out to the end. Let me know if you did. I'd be curious. Otherwise, live stream, like I said, on Friday, another live stream on Sunday, and more videos to come as other things happen in the hobby, because things are moving along. Comments and thoughts are always welcome. Like if you haven't already, if you got to the end of the video. Subscribe if you haven't. And we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks very much.